Welcome to Canines for America. So today what we're going to be getting ourselves into is another phenomenal piece of equipment that we've been using at Canines for America for about 10 years now. We've brought this piece of equipment in to help us with our thermal imaging and with our photobiomodulation, as I kind of call it the big three tools that we use around here on a weekly basis. So what is a stance analyzer? What it is, it's like a scale that you see at your normal vet. It's about the same size. But what this does, it just gives us phenomenal additional data that we get to use in tracking our canines through their workability and through their lifespan. It's something that as a puppy, I can start getting my puppy on a stance analyzer and creating a history of the working dog or a companion dog or any type of a canine that you do have. And we're able to build that history throughout that canine's life. And it gives us just great data points that we get to reference ourselves back to, tracking injuries, whatever it might be. It really gives us a good eye view of what's going on or potentially going on with our canine. I got, hooked onto the stance analyzer because I really wanted to get finer with my data points. I really wanted to, it's one thing to kind of, the way we used to always do it is study that dog's gait. And, what we've learned of what, here at Canines for America is the biomechanics of a dog isn't always the same with every dog. What we're also finding is due to their temperament, right? The four tempers. A choleric dog could have a different biomechanic gait than a melancholic canine. So you might look at a melancholic canine and think, is that dog, hurt or lame? But no, a dog is 100% perfectly healthy. It just kind of can fool the naked eye. So what this stance analyzer really allows us to do, it really allows us to dial in, just not from us as humans visually, but now we got a highly sophisticated piece of equipment that's going to help verify what we think is going on with our canine in our normal workability of say one of our canines. Well, every single week, every single Monday, we'll get our dogs on the stance analyzer, and the stance analyzer is going to tell us, basically it's almost like think about a car alignment or getting your car into the shop, and we're going to balance out the tires, right? There's 4 tires. Well, with our canine, we got 4 limbs that we're working with. The majority of the dog's weight is always on the front 2 limbs. We kind of think of it as a 60-40, which means, right, 30% on the front left, 30% on the front right, 20 on the back left, and 20 on the back right. That's a perfectly balanced canine. And the stance analyzer is going to give us that information. So we can see in the stance analyzer, it's so accurate. It's going to really dial that in small percentages. So we could see, okay, hey, our dog's got 30 on the front left, 30 on the front right. But on the back left, we're getting 15. And then we're getting, a 25 on the back right. Well, something's up there. And there could be, a multitude of reasons why, but now we're able to really start dialing things in. It's a great tracking tool that allows us to get that information and to track the animal and what's going on with them internally, which then allows us to deploy our thermal imaging cameras, and then allows us from there to deploy our photobiomodulation. So for an example, we're going to show you today Siren. Siren is just a great, canine that, with all of her experience and all of her years, she's a great way for us to show you what's been going on. So for instance, we've been tracking Siren for, all of her workability. Well, what I will do with Siren is I will get her on the stance analyzer to start her work week. And if I see something's off with Siren because I have years and years and years, weeks and weeks and weeks of data, I can see that Siren is off. So for example, right now, we've been talking about Siren having that right leg injury. We've been applying photobiomodulation. We've been, looking and shooting her with thermal imaging. But for some reason, Siren's just not getting better, not reacting to the the photobiomodulation like that organism should be responding if it is a true soft tissue injury. Now we're going to show you what that looks like today when we get her on the stance analyzer. But what we do is we get the dog on the stance analyzer. If we see something is off, say for instance, again with Siren, we see that back right is off with her because the percentages are off. It's not where Siren's always been so well balanced throughout her career. Now she's out of balance. So then what we'll do after we see that Siren is out of balance, out of whack, we'll then bring in the thermal imaging camera because we know something's going on with that right leg. What's going on with that right leg? We don't know. But now we know something is going on with her right leg. Now we're going to shoot it with the thermal imaging. We're going to get some images on that back right. But all that thermal imaging, right, is going to do is tell us and verify that the stance analyzer is correct, that there is something going on with that back right leg. The thermal imaging camera is now going to give us more details where we have to shoot that photobiomodulation laser. So we're taking one system to get to the next system, then to finalize it with our photobiomodulation. So that's kind of how the stance analyzer works here with Canines for America. To kind of give you some more details of how does it really work and measure the accuracy. The stance analyzer, what it does is uses like force plate technology with sensors to measure static weight distribution across a dog's four limbs, right? So it's designed to detect very subtle shifts in the weight bearing. Example, a dog offloading weight from a painful leg. So Siren with that back right, she's going to be leaning and putting more weight on the left or on her front two limbs, right? So the stance will then give us, some really cool objective data in the form of percentages of the total body weight, per limb. The accuracy, really hinges on what we always have to do every time we get the dog on our stance analyzer is the calibration, right? The device, our stance analyzer always has to be, regularly, calibrated to ensure that all the sensors are reading correctly and well maintained, to detect the dog's weight, and the differences down to the smallest fractions of a pound or kilogram. The stance analyzer is really, really cool because it allows, the controlled conditions, right? The accuracy improves when the dog stands still. So yeah, I think I've talked about in another episode how important it is for when you have a puppy or the young dog to really get them on these different machines and to really train them and teaching the up command. I think you can go back through our video library and get back to that up command episode where we did the up 101, the stand 101, to teach the dog how to stand and hold that stand. It's very, very important because we can't have the dog, moving when they get on this highly sensitive piece of equipment because it's just going to throw all of our numbers off, all of our data off if the dog's moving around and can't stand still. So that's why, it is important not only to train all the obedience and all the technical skills that we get into, but just teaching a dog how to stand and hold it is going to be very good for the dog's health as the dog progresses in age. Throughout their career, with you, and just kind of summing it up before we get out there and I show you, how it works and how Siren works with the stance analyzer and how it really gives us that real-time data, or the real world accuracy. In practice, the stance analyzer, it's considered, amongst us as highly reliable. And that's what I love about it. It's I need to use tools that aren't going to be so subjective in what I'm seeing, but I need the reliability. It's very important. for its intended purpose of detecting weight bearing, asymmetry. For a healthy dog, the weight distribution, like I said, is going to be roughly 30% on each front limb and 20% on each hind limb, right? A 60-40 ratio. Deviations, beyond 5 to 10%, are flagged significant. So, if I see 2 to 3%, that's not a big deal. I let it ride, which I'll show you. But I'm looking for anything. If I get that 5% or higher, I'm gonna flag it that this is significant, and we're gonna need to do more investigation. It's almost like being a detective. I need to really start investigating what I think might be happening, because again, our dogs, they can't tell us what's going on, right? They're so stoic that they're going to mask any pain or anything that's going on, any injury that's going on with them. So it's really our job to be those, eyes and ears for them, because at the end of the day, they're going to want to play in the game. And it's our job to, this game today, you're just not going to play in it, right? Because I'm concerned about the longevity of my canine. Because if I can get a dog to work till the age of 10 and beyond, instead of having to retire that dog at the age of 7, or whatever it might be, that's always the main goal, because there's a lot of value in that. And the device, these sensors that are built into the machine, they're so phenomenal that they're so precise enough to catch these shifts consistently when we use the machine properly, right? The false positives, are very rare, but can they occur? Yeah, but they occur, purely because the dog is standing unevenly or the dog is moving a lock. So it's very important, right, to not distract our canine when they get on that stance analyzer, and to be very, very focused. So all in all, that's kind of my 2 cents on the stance analyzer. So enough of me talking. Let's go ahead and let's go check out Siren on the stance analyzer so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's go. So what we're going to get into now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you kind of the process of how I utilize the stance analyzer. We're going to have Canine Siren that's going to kind of help us out. And I'm just going to walk you through what I would do with Canine Siren. Now remember, the stance analyzer, this is just another great tool in my bag that helps give me data points. That's all I'm looking for. The more data that I have, the better decision I can make, or the better road I can drive down once I really know what's kind of going on. But this is a tool, again, like I said, that I deploy in my canine's regiment. It's part of their routine. It's something I always get them on, because at the end of the day, whatever training you want to get into, it's just not going out there and training the dog. What we have to understand, we have to attack it with our health aspect, with our athletic aspect, to become elite. You just don't become elite just trying to go out there and hitting it hard and training. We really have to be concerned, because we can never achieve that elite standpoint that we want to get to unless we have the health. That canine's health, the health is what's going to propel everything that we want to do with our dog or with our young human athlete. So what I do here is, all of a sudden I'm going to get ready to go with Siren. Now I know Siren's had all her different injuries. I know she's almost a 13-year-old Malinois. So I come in here to my stance analyzer and I'm going to get ready to start my day, right? So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up a session. What I have to do, I click on my stance analyzer, and I'm going to kind of go right to find my Siren canine, which I got to kind of scroll through. I'll find Siren, and then I'm going to open up her profile, right? So I always have to have a profile in there. You can see on the screen right now, it says Siren, it has her date of birth in there, right? She's a 12-and-a-half-year-old Belgian Malinois female. Kind of has all my, if it's a police officer's canine that's in here, if it's an elite dock diving or agility, or even just a companion canine, I have all the ownership information that I need in here. And I can go back and I can bring up the dog's history, right? So I can get in here on the right-hand side. You're going to see kind of all the different history of the dog. I got graphs. I got a lot of really cool information that I can print out, I can email, and I can get that over to, like, say, my veterinarian, right? So if there's something where I'm kind of getting a hiccup on, I can go ahead and I can get this really cool data. upload it, get it to my veterinarian in real time. They can check out what's going on, and they can advise me of what's best to do. Is this something that with my education, with my standpoint of where I am in my career, is it something that I can handle on my own? Or is it something that's above my pay grade and I now need to escalate that up to my veterinarian? So it's, again, great data points, right? That's all I need. I want data. I'm constantly searching and seeking for the more data I have, the better, again, decision that I can make with my canine. Do I need to pull them out of training? Are they okay to continue on their training? What's the level of training that I can do with the dog today? Just because you might be kind of hurt, injured, doesn't mean that that dog is completely out of it, right? There's a lot of things that we can continuously do with our canine, whether it's from a cognitive standpoint, introduction standpoint, or whatever it might be. We can still do other things with our dog, but from a physiology standpoint, now maybe I got to remove that dog from any type of physical training, right? So here I'm going to go ahead. We're going to get a new session for Siren. So I'm going to go into current. What you can see on your screen, just so you guys are looking at it at home, there's some cool tools here that the screen's displaying for you, okay? The first one is going to be like I discussed earlier. Look at the, when you see the picture of the dog and you see the different 0%, right? Look at that like, hey, it's a car balancing system, right? We want to balance. We're looking to see what the balance is of the dog. And remember, again, I said 60% on the front, 40% on the back, right? So a 30, 30, a 20, and a 20. And that's going to give me all my cool data. So once we get the dog here, what you're looking on the floor on the platform, you can see the different static plates, right? There's going to be 4 quadrants of static plates, okay, for each one of the limbs. So once I get the dog on this, on the stance analyzer itself, in my hand, I have this really cool, nifty remote. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm basically snapping a snapshot of that current data. And I want to really take about 30 snapshots. Does the dog move on me a little bit? In the very beginning, are they a little wary of what they're doing? Siren's been on this, 100 times. So we should be able to be able to get a true picture kind of immediately. But what I want to do, I'm going to take about 30 snapshots. And you're going to see them start to record on the screen as I take them. The other cool two graphics to the right are going to be your center of gravity and the stability. The stability I find to be really rad. I'm going to be able to start that, and you're going to see almost like if you're watching a basketball game and they're showing you where all the baskets that are made show up in green dots, and the ones that are missed are going to show up in a red dot. Well, this is really cool. It's going to show white dots everywhere on how the dog is shifting their body. Are they really holding a center of gravity? Are they stable? Is the dog being stable on this? Are they constantly moving? All that cool data point is going to come through. We're going to capture it, and we're going to get to be able to analyze that at a later date. And we're also able to analyze it in real time. So again, a very cool tool to give me real-time data, and also data that I can save and use over time as well. So let's go ahead and let's get started with Canine Siren, and I'm going to show you how this looks. Now, where did Canine Siren go? I'm going to have to go off camera to grab her because she's laying on this nice cold concrete as a 13-year-old almost Malinois, right? Hey, I like to be cool. So let me go grab her. Be right back. Siren. Ready? Up. Okay, good girl. Come back on, Siren. Good girl. Here comes Siren. Siren. On. Back. Here we go. Yeah, good girl. Okay. Now, I want to position Siren on these 4 quads. Okay? So again, these 4 static plates. Now, this is where I get into talking to you guys about training your dog early, especially on the stand command. Now, you got to remember, I'm working with a 13-year-old Malinois, right? She doesn't do a lot of training anymore, so I got to hopefully dial into that early stage, puppy stage, and that imprinting where they really never forget, but they're not as sharp anymore, right? So what I want, right, that back leg really hurts her, so she wants to sit right now as I'm kind of talking. So I'll try to jump to the point quickly for Siren. Siren is swagging. She is chloric. So even at 13 years of age, with an ACL tear and bone chips in her knee, she's still, you can see, getting excited. So sometimes to get your dog to hold a still, that stand command, what I need to use with Siren, I'm going to use a treat, a food basically treat, right? Because I don't need to create any more drive, or she won't be stable on the stance analyzer. I need to bring my Chloric, who's always a 10, I need to try to bring her down to a 4. Okay, I need her to be stable for me. So working with the Chloric animal, even the kind of a Sangui, sometimes this stuff gets difficult. Phlegmatics, melancholics, easy peasy lemon squeezy, as my kids like to say. So what we're gonna do here, I'm gonna get Siren back in that up, okay? Imprinted her by touching right the back underneath. So I got her up, okay? She's crooked. So the way I gotta work it, I gotta stand in front of her, and all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna basically, oh, so slowly, good girl, Siren. Do you see how she's holding that left knee, right? That left leg? She's already very ginger with it. So I wanna be careful. It's okay, girl. Get it on that static plate. Very sensitive. Good up. Reinforcement. Good up. Good up. You can see on the screen now, things are moving. I'm going to start capturing her picture as I want to focus on her. Good up, good girl. You can really see there's basically no pressure being put on that back left, right? But I'm going to still take pictures. No, good up, good girl, good girl. While I'm doing that, I'm going to start her stability. Good girl, Siren. Up, good job, good girl. I like it. I like what I'm seeing. That's a good girl. Okay, I'm barely touching my canine. Just reaffirming, I'm taking some pictures. Good girls. Up. Good job, Siren. You're almost done. Come on. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. No. I'll reset her a little bit. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, she's losing it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give her her treat. Good girl, Siren. You can go ahead and lay down now, girl. Okay? So now I'm going to come back to my stance analyzer. I just got some good pictures of what was going on with her. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop the stability. Right? You can kind of see her basketball shots are all over the place, right? Not looking very stable. Okay? We like that to be in the center. Okay? Nice and strong. We like it maybe a little bit up, can be up more in the front, right? I have a good stance with my dog, a good, strong stance. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on my dog here. If you can see my hand moving, I'm going to click it on. And right off the bat, I'm seeing 41%, okay, is on her front left, 30% on her, 41% on her front right, 30% on the front left, okay? Right off the bat, what did I say earlier? Right, I'm looking for anywhere between, if I see 2, 3, maybe 4% off, no big deal. But when I have numbers like this, oh, my goodness, not right. I want to see what was going on a little bit. I already know about that back left leg at only 4%. 4% is all that she's doing on that back left, right? You can see she was barely holding it, but still on the static plate, it was still capturing a little bit of weight. But she's now putting 25% on her right, okay? She's carrying most of the weight up on her front. But I can go back and I can check out these numbers and you can see I can scroll. I don't know if that's capturing right there where I can scroll and I can look for anomalies. So sometimes, I mean by the anomaly, I'm looking for sometimes the dog is really excited. The dog's moving around, whatever it might be. They're not stable yet, but I've been taking pictures, basically. So if I see some numbers that are really out of whack, I can go ahead and I can delete a few of them. So if I'm looking over here, well, if I'm looking at, let's say, the left front, right? 41%, 37%, 31s, 41s, 42s. Okay, so I got a lot in the 40s. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead in this 31. If you can see my hand moving there, I'm going to delete that 31. Okay? It's asked me, do you want to delete that sample? Okay, it's going to affirm. Yeah, I want to get that sample out of there. That's why I take so many pictures, is because I specifically want to be able to get rid of some highs, get rid of some lows, right? So I can get the average a little bit closer to where I want to see. So I'll go ahead and I'll delete that one. Okay, there's a 37 there. There's a 39. Ooh, the high is like a 48, right? Ooh, back down to my 37s. Well, there's some 30s. There's a 28. There's a 55. So I'm going to get rid of that 28. I'm going to get rid of the 55. 36 is now my low. Oh, there's a 30 right there. I'll get rid of that. There's a 33. Okay, I'm still checking, right? I'm going to scroll back up. Okay. Oh, there are a couple 48s right there. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of those 48s. And well, that 35 kind of, should I get rid of it? Yeah, I'll take out that 35 as well. There's a 35. I'll keep the 37 as my low. 36, right? Not bad. And then I'll come back over here to my dog, and I'll click on my dog, and it should reset my percentages. So did much change? No, right? Not much changed. I gained another 1% on that back left. So right off the bat, I'm then going to go ahead and I'm going to save it. Okay, do I want to save and record the data? Yeah, I do. I can see also my dog's weight. Okay, Siren is gaining weight at a high rate of speed. Now, almost 78 pounds. So when Siren was working, when she was going out there and doing her workability, she was a 55-pound female Malinois. That's where we never wanted her above 55 pounds. That was the weight that came back from her DNA, as we, all of our dogs, and we're going to get in a lot of episodes about how we use DNA for temperament diagnosis and everything else. But her DNA came back and her DNA said that was her target weight. That's where she kind of should be. So we always kept her at the 55 pounds. So 55 to 78 pounds, that's an incredible jump, number one. Number two, she has a blown wheel. Number three, she's almost 13 years old. Okay, so this is putting a lot of stress, a lot of strain, and building a lot of pain for Siren. And here we can see it. So how do we attack this? Right? When I put her on this stance analyzer and I saw these numbers, oh, wow. Okay, next thing we want to do, we're going to shoot the dog with thermal imaging. Now we can see that whole leg is completely inflamed. Right? Next thing I want to do is I'm going to apply my photobiomodulation. But when I see numbers this off, usually that's not a soft tissue injury. So by using this technology for as long as we've done it, we've been able to really zero in from just our own study of our data to know when we see numbers that are off this bad, it's more musculoskeletal of an injury. It's not going to be that soft tissue. So laser isn't going to help that leg. Photobiomodulation is probably not going to be successful. I know that. But what I can use photobiomodulation for with a dog that has a musculoskeletal injury is I can use it for pain management. Okay, so I can try to invade Siren and get to work on that pain management because, again, I don't want to continuously use the Rimadyl. Might cause ulcers with certain dogs, right? So I don't need to get into that type of a situation. Tramadol or some of the other higher narcotics. I really want to stay away from that with my dog. So I'm going to try that photobiomodulation. And then I get this data over to my doc immediately. And so the next process would be, okay, we got to get the canine in and we're going to get x-rays. We're going to start doing imagery work. And by using the imagery work, the x-rays, that's how we then discovered that Siren has bone chips floating in that knee. Okay, the palpation test, we can tell that the knee is quietly swollen, right? Her flexibility with that leg she is almost less than 5%, right? She does not want to flex that leg, extend that leg whatsoever. So we know we know poor Siren has a lot going on there. So we know that now we need to take it up to that veterinarian level, and we need to let, our veterinarian take care of the situation from here on out. So again, this tool, this stance analyzer tool, is a great, if you are heavy into athleticism with your canine, again, your dock diving, your agility, you're running your dog crazy. Not only do I have to not use my naked eye anymore and try to study that dog's gait, because we're going to get into the biomechanics of the canine, and canines have different gaits. So unless you just really study canine gait, it's going to be difficult for you to really know, is my dog injured? Is my dog not injured? This tool right here gives us a plethora of information that then we can take and really try to help our canine by using the other systems. One thing that I'm going to constantly then do with Siren that I can do as a developer is I can use cold compression therapy on that back leg now. Right? We're going to do a good episode that you'll see how we apply cold compression therapy. So that I can do. So there's a couple of at-home remedies that I can be trying to keep my dog comfortable as much as I possibly can before we decide, hey, we're going to have to go get that knee scoped. And that's a whole nother situation that we'll get into. But also once we get that knee scoped, well, we're going to be able to use photobiomodulation, cold compression therapy, and our stance analyzer to monitor the progress of Siren as she's getting better, right? So this tool just isn't a one-time use only. No, the tool comes back into use for us. We get Siren back on the stance analyzer, and then we can start to monitor her recovery to know, are we able to take her on walks now? Are we able to, just not the bathroom? Are we able to go on longer walks? What can we do? Because the next thing that we have to do after we take care of that leg, the next thing that we have to attack is our canine's weight. We need to try to reduce the 23 pounds that Siren is, or excuse me. Oh my gosh, I can't even do math right now, right? The weight that Siren is overweight at this point in time, 23 pounds. We need to attack that as much as we can. And we need to reduce that weight. Okay, so we need to really start knocking things down. If we can get her from the 23, 24 pounds overweight, we can get it down to 20. 19, 18, are there things that we can do? Her diet, we work with her diet a lot, but that's the next big thing. But she's 13 years of age, right? So there becomes that point in time of how much do I want to put my dog through? How much is actually feasible to do? And what are the percentages? What are the risks? What are the rewards that you really have to really start to dive into? But at the end of the day, my concern now with Siren is making her feel as comfortable as she possibly can. So great tool. You can see we got our weights, we got everything. If I go back to my history, you can see that we can study it. We can find our trends. I'll go ahead and I'll send today's report back off to the vet. And then at the end of the day, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get Siren taken care of. So guys, follow back to see how we're doing with Siren, see if we already went to that knee scope and how that's been going. But if you have any questions, any comments in regards to a stance analyzer, how could it maybe apply for you? How do you find one in your area? Please go ahead and throw those in the comments. But other than that, guys, don't forget to subscribe and like. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.